Broadcasting live from the Business Radio X studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Atlanta Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Welcome to this very special edition of Atlanta Business Radio. It is time for Atlanta Cares Radio, brought to you by Atlanta Planning Group and our good host, Miss Grace Hayden. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. This thing has been in the works for a while. We've been planning on this, working on this, figuring out who we want in the room, what we want to do.
And I had to keep it a secret the whole time, which, let me tell you, it was tough because we're so excited.
This is going to be so much fun. We've got a room full. We've got observers. We got entourage. We got paparazzi.
Yep.
We got a lot going on in here. So let's get it started.
Yes.
All right. Who do we have first that we want to visit with?
So first up, we have the pleasure of chatting with the Global Growers Network. We have Robin Chanin, the co-founder and executive director of Global Growers Network, a Georgia-based nonprofit social enterprise that creates pathways for talented farmers to contribute their agricultural skills to our local food system through a network of farms and gardens around Metro Atlanta. Could not have said it better myself. Why don't you guys tell us, what does Global Growers Network really mean to you?
Global Growers Network has meant the last 10 years of my life to me. This organization grew out of the tremendous demand among international farmers in the Atlanta area who were interested in reconnecting to their agricultural heritage in their new home. So in 2010, we began connecting talented growers to farming resources, including access to land, skill building, business coaching, and market relationships. So by providing farmers with that ecosystem of support, we're strengthening the local economy while making local healthy produce abundant and accessible throughout Metro Atlanta.
That's an incredible mission. Absolutely love it. And you brought your right-hand woman, Ms. Desiree Fowler, with you. Desi, what's your role in the company and what do you do?
Sure. My role is the development and communications manager with the organization. I'm originally from Germany, moved here 4 years ago, and have been with the organization for the past 3 years.
Wow. And you guys have done a lot of development in the community, but why don't you tell us how many farms, gardens, and growers do you work with right now?
So we have about a little over 300 families in our network. Wow. We have 8 different farm and garden sites across the metro area, and altogether we're managing a little over 22 acres of land.
Wow. That is a lot. Where are they located?
All in DeKalb County in the communities of Clarkston, Decatur, and Stone Mountain.
Very cool. And so your farmers, are they from a particular region or?
So Global Growers prioritizes our services for international farmers who came to this country as refugees. Then focusing on this niche of underserved and underrepresented farmers, we're working towards shifting agricultural resources to match the changing demographics of our food system. We work with folks from around the world. One of our most recent initiatives of collecting community input to really drive our programs and services, we ended up talking with people from over 38 different countries, which was unbelievable. But the 3 countries that make up the countries of origin for the majority of the growers we work with are Burundi in East Africa, Bhutan in South Asia, and as well as Burma.
Very interesting. And so was it just a coincidence that you wound up in Atlanta, or was that kind of a strategic choice? I know Atlanta's a refugee relocation site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Atlanta is rich in resources for our work, and that includes a large international community, many, not all of whom, but many of whom came from agrarian backgrounds and come with generations of farming expertise and also wonderful food culture to contribute to the Atlanta area. And we're also rich in land, which means soil, sun, and water. We have a long growing season here in the American Southeast, so we are able to have some very productive farm and garden sites.
And has Atlanta as a community been receptive to the organization?
We've received incredible support from the Atlanta community. We have access to land in part due to the generosity of landowners. We also partner with local municipalities to use some public land for these operations to create public benefit for those communities. We have an incredible customer base of both individuals and businesses that support farmers through their food sales. So we aggregate and distribute produce all around Metro Atlanta to people who have an appetite for good, healthy food.
So you have a very large operation with a lot of moving pieces and a lot of incredible people that come together. Who are some of your key partners and maybe some collaborations that you've done that you want to share?
There's two collaborations that I'm particularly excited about. One of those we call the Clarkston Food Initiative. So Clarkston is known as the most diverse square mile in the United States. And the Clarkston Food Initiative, Global Growers launched in 2016 and ties together 13 different partners in the Atlanta area. Nonprofit organizations, government partners, business partners, and such, all of whom have shared goals around creating a stronger food system in the Clarkston community. The second collaboration that I'm really excited about is the Market Ready Farms Collaborative. And that is a group of farmer-serving organizations that particularly focus on connecting resources to communities of color in agriculture. And that's something that is, we work across the state of Georgia and even a little bit into Alabama to connect farmers with agricultural resources that can help them strengthen their business enterprises.
Wow. Absolutely love that. And so what made you want to take this direction? What's your story about how you got into this?
My background is in, I had done work in Atlanta's refugee community with some nonprofit organizations, and I left that world behind to get involved in an organic agriculture operation. And I had no idea that those two things would end up coming back together in the form of Global Growers Network. But through a handful of serendipitous relationships and with a lot of credit to my co-founder, Susan Pavlin, we were able to start connecting the dots between those two worlds.
Interesting. So,
all right, wait a minute. Let's talk about me for a minute. It's been like 5-6 minutes since we talked about me. How do I get my hands on some of this food? I don't know the first thing about growing food, farming, or anything, but I love to eat. I haven't tucked this shirt in 15 years. How do I access some of this food? I mean, my wife and I, we love to cook. We love to eat. Yeah, help us out with that.
Well, you can come visit us at the Freedom Farmers Markets every Saturday. And you can meet some of our growers that are actually at the market selling the food that they are growing. And then also there are a lot of restaurants in the community that are purchasing from us. And so you can try their delicious dishes using our produce. And then on top of that, we have a really exciting opportunity coming up on September 21st, which is our annual fundraiser. It's called A Meaningful Feast. And there are actually 15 chefs that are coming to the event venue using our produce and preparing a 5-course meal dinner.
We got to go to this, Grace.
Gotta go.
Right? Wow, I'm glad I asked. So this Freedom Farmers Market. All right,
it's at the Carter Center.
Oh wow, that what a field trip that would be. And is it like most weekends or
every Saturday?
Every Saturday.
Every Saturday from 9 a.m. till 1 p.m.
I'm glad I asked.
I'm glad you asked too. So is that part, I know you guys are starting a new campaign called the Higher Ground Campaign. Do you want to touch on what that is?
Sure. So the Higher Ground Campaign is an effort to get more land into production. We have far more growers interested in accessing farmland than we're currently able to support through our network. So we're actively looking for a larger commercial farm site to support new farm business development and increase the amount of food producers who are in the business of growing food for the Atlanta community.
Love that. So if someone wanted to find out more about you guys, where can they find you? What's website, social media?
It's all of that. The first thing you should do is go on our website, just to keep up to date with everything that's going on. And then, of course, follow us on social media. And that's where we keep posting about our upcoming event and also ways to get involved with the organizations, recipe ideas.
Recipe ideas.
Exactly.
Wow. He loves to cook.
Yes, we don't pretend to be gourmet at my house, but we really do enjoy. It's an activity. We're almost empty nesters now, and it's instead of sitting on the couch all afternoon, we get up, we cut up the vegetables, we try out new stuff. But before we wrap this segment, we asked Robin a little bit about her background and her path to this. but what prompted you to come all the way across the pond and get involved in this kind of thing?
First, love was the main reason why I came over the pond.
That's a good reason. Look, we got food, we got love.
And then I actually wrote my master thesis on refugee resettlement in Clarkston. So I've always been involved with the community. And then met Robin and learned about Global Growers and knew that I had to get involved with the organization. And so kind of found my international family there 3 years ago.
Marvelous. I mean, I can tell from talking with both of you, you find this to be incredibly rewarding work, don't you?
It's incredibly meaningful work, yes. So we're very fortunate to get to do work that has a positive impact on the community. We get to work with some of the most unbelievable people who have, who are able to share their stories and their food traditions and their culture with us from around the world. And lucky to work with a group of incredible colleagues as well, a group of people who, when we show up to work, we all know that we're in it for the right reasons. People have a passion for this work, but also bring tremendous skills and cultural competencies and language skills from around the world to our team in order to be able to build a healthier and wealthier Atlanta community.
You dropped a stat on us earlier in the conversation about diversity. And Clarkston, can you say that again? That really surprised. I mean, my eyes got wide when you said that.
Sure. So Clarkston is known as one of the most diverse square miles in the United States. Over 50% of the population is foreign born. There's over 60 different languages that have been documented just in that 1 square mile community. And it's a fantastic place. A lot of folks in Atlanta are not aware that we have this incredible global hub and global community with all sorts of wonderful things happening there.
Grace, is this going to be every month we're going to talk to organizations of this caliber are doing this kind of work?
Yeah, Atlanta's a really cool place with a really rich culture and unique community, so there's a lot of cool people we're going to have on the show.
This is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to find it rewarding, I think.
So.
If this is going to be the format of the show and this is going to be the caliber of guests. All right, so before we wrap, one more time, let's make sure we've got coordinates for anyone who wants to reach out and have a conversation about any of these topics, but also who may want to get involved in some way, whether it's, going to these farmers markets or I'm operating under the impression there's maybe even a path to contribute directly if we just, we think it's a good cause and we want to contribute directly. All the way to, if Uncle Joe's got 40 acres, he might be willing to put toward this thing, right? So
Uncle Joe should call us.
Okay,
we'd love to talk. We encourage you to come out to our September 21st event. It's an amazing evening, a meaningful feast. You can find more information on our website, globalgrowers.org. Follow us on social media. If you can't make it out to that event, we'll have plenty more in the future and ways to be able to dig in, get your hands dirty. You can volunteer at our farm and garden sites. You can learn how you can purchase food from partner farmers. And you'll learn about future food events that we'll be hosting around the community. And lastly, if you're inspired by what you've heard today and you'd like to contribute to our Higher Ground campaign, you can also do that on our website, globalgrowers.org.
Marvelous. All right. Well, keep up the good work and keep us posted. And there may be some wisdom, Grace. I'm thinking, maybe we check back in with them from time to time, see what they're up to,
Yeah,
right?
I think that's a great idea. They're a dynamic organization, so.
Well, it certainly seems that way. Hey, how about hanging in there with us? We're going to still visit with a few more guests, yeah?
That sounds great.
All right, Grace, that's just your opening act. You got more stuff coming, right?
I know, and the next act is a very cool one. We've got Ken and Jeannette Katz of the Kosher Guacamole Corporation. You may know their business, Buenos Dias Cafe. It's a fresh Latin food restaurant operating in downtown Atlanta. It's owned and operated by the husband and wife team. You may notice they have the same last name, Jeannette and Kenneth Katz. It's been a healthy food staple to the downtown community since opening in 2013, and doesn't stop there. The team is now expanding to La Bodega at the Met Atlanta near the West End MARTA station, which we all know is blowing up right now, and as well as a few pop-up sites in and around the downtown area. They are a team hailing from El Salvador and New York, so they find opportunities to bring unique food experiences to these hungry communities. So we're talking about hungry communities today and how to feed them. Thank you for joining us. Why don't you tell us how you came up with the concept of Buenos Dias Cafe?
We I've been in the restaurant business for a long time. Jeannette and I actually met working in a restaurant in San Francisco 28 years ago. And we decided we were ready to do it for ourselves instead of doing it for others, and liked the idea of working near the community of the school, both the energy of the students and the schedule that the university provides.
Yeah. So do you find a lot of opportunity being downtown? What's that business environment like?
Downtown's unique because the infrastructure is set up to handle the 35,000 students that attend Georgia State University when class is in session, and then has all this infrastructure in place and has to find reasons to use it at the other times. So it gives you a great opportunity to capture people for business, but only in limited windows. And so you have to be aggressive in both how you prepare yourself for them and also how you reach out to people when there's no school in session.
Yeah, and I have to confess something on the air here. I actually know about Buenos Dias Cafe because I'm Georgia State alumni, and it was one of the only healthy food places right there on campus that I could think of. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
that's what we want to think about it. One of the things that is very important for us is to make sure that the community who is thinking about changing their lifestyle and eating more healthy, they have the opportunity to have a choice, and they can actually say, okay, I want to go there because it's healthy. I want to go there because they are serving what is good for me.
Yeah. So on their way from Kell Hall to Classroom South, they can just stop in and grab a bite to eat. So that seems like a convenient labor market for you also, maybe, or what's it been like hiring?
If you can convince people that the 5 Points MARTA station is accessible, you have staff, but that's
that is a fair point.
We can't encourage driving. It's just when there's no school, that's easy to find parking and get downtown. But of course, when there's that many people coming in, it's very difficult. And if you're comfortable with using the MARTA station, it's really convenient and really fantastic. Mm-hmm. And so that labor force is the challenge outside the community. But as far as student hiring, it's terrific. We have as many as 10 part-time students who all live on campus or have a wide enough schedule that they can justify fitting some hours in. We try to keep them around 10 to 15 hours a week, both for their studying time to be available. And we're also only open during the day, during the week. So there's not a ton of hours, but it gives the kids an opportunity to have a job while they're in school. That's not having a job and being in school. It's kind of just a place to be.
A lot to juggle, but it's a convenient place. They can even, pop into the library after, and they get weekends off, I hear. So you obviously get a lot of traffic from Georgia State students and people who work downtown. How about marketing? What are you doing to market outside of just being in the right area?
Well, most importantly, I think they all wait. The all way that always been is, by people. Word of mouth is have been the best. And the beginning was a little more difficult because nobody know what a Salvadorian food is. And our specialty is pupusas, which is a stuffed corn tortilla with, different delicious things. And we have to, educate everybody what it was in order for them to do it. And it has the advantage that it can be gluten free. It can be vegan. It can be vegetarian, and of course, it can be as delicious as a Cuban sandwich in a form of a tortilla as well. Mm. So it's very important for us to deliver a little bit of everything for everybody. So you can have something as healthy as vegan, or you can have some house roasted pork as well.
Gotta cater to your full market. I completely understand. So what are some of the most popular items on your menu?
We have most of the items have been actually made by most of our customers. So we have a Jeff Ball, which actually it was created for one of our customers, and it was quinoa, fresh spinach, black beans, and fresh vegetables. So that one is a vegan, dish. And of course, pupusas, which is, like I said, is one of the things that it can be for everybody.
So I can tell you really care about your customers if you've got dishes named after them. I always wondered if, you go into places and you see the Jeff bowl. So Jeff was a real person. So do you still keep in touch with Jeff?
Yes.
He come in and eat his Jeff bowl?
He moves to...
he went to work for the federal government in Washington. He used to work for the state. That's the other customer base we have downtown is there is a large state of Georgia building nearby to Peachtree. But he went from one of the offices here to a related office for the federal government. But he still checks in on social media to make sure we're serving his bowl.
Well, I can tell you right now, the stone bowl will have the pork in it.
Not vegan.
Yes. Oh, we definitely do that. We take care very well our pork. We marinate it the day before with mojo, and then we roast it, slowly so you get all the juices in there.
Well, I got to say, I understand why it's such a hit, and you guys are expanding. So I mentioned it a little bit in your intro, but do you want to tell us about future plans?
So, Grace, I must say that you did a great job partnering us with, the same pretty much vision, that we have is to go to communities and help, to have the best that the land can actually provide. And, we have the opportunity to work with Kosher, which is a developer who actually have given us the opportunity to have the building right at the end, the west end. So we definitely looking into partner with local makers, also with farmers. We want to definitely have most of the items and products that they are local. Not just for the health sake, but also the environment. We are very crazy about, I mean me. Because I drive everybody crazy in the kitchen and even customers who order to go and they sit down and it's like, what are you thinking? You say to go, you're going, so, I think we need to take, the initiative as not just as a business, but also as customers, where we buying, what we consuming, and also think about the future generations, and not just that, but for ourselves. How long we're gonna live, how healthy we're gonna be, and let's be honest. Either you pay now or you pay later, but you will pay.
We like to say, pay the farmer today or pay the doctor tomorrow.
That's what Jeannette says all the time.
Nice.
High five.
So the bodega is going to be a combination of a market and a restaurant. We're going to still serve some of our food and have fresh vegetable options, but the spacing is created in such a way that there will be a bodega component like we have in New York, where we're going to have market availability for the West End. We're right next to Deer Park and right at the MARTA station and very close to Capitol View. So people have been coming already because we're doing a pop-up window there at lunch Monday through Friday and asking when they can come in and buy other things. And so we're hoping that we can take what fresh vegetables we're buying now and get them in larger quantities and make them available retail as well as use them to cook for ourselves.
So just to clarify, are you looking to start a farm to grow your produce, or you want to partner with local?
No, we want to partner. We're not growing it.
All right.
We get up early enough to make the coffee for Georgia State.
We believe that is better if we partner. We are good. We all have our talents, right? So why am I gonna pretend? I would love to do it. It's great. The satisfaction of that. But it's more important if we partner and we get together as a community, have this healthy ecosystem that whoever produce, we make it, and then somebody else take it. So
it sounds like Global Growers Farmers are going to have a new customer very soon.
Absolutely. We definitely would love to have a whole festival at the Met and create more awareness of what are you doing and what the community should be expecting from us.
So this is going to be fun when we get ready to launch the Papusa Festival.
There
That's
you go.
right.
That's it.
That's right. Our next podcast should be just about pupusas. So many kinds. I had no idea.
In our earlier segment, I asked the lady, Desiree, about the trip from Germany and what prompted that. But I got to know, El Salvador, New York, Atlanta, Are there pieces of that story that you're willing to share? Or are there parts we shouldn't know about? Or?
We're never going to finish.
But it's fascinating. What prompted that in general?
Well, let's see. I'll make it short. After 20 years of war in El Salvador and me serving 5 years in the army and seeing peace, there was not much to do. Well, it was a lot to do, the recovery part. But I was looking more cutting the umbilical cord from my mom. So, you cannot go as far, so I said, okay, let me just go a little farther. Maybe, that will do. So I adventured here and I got to San Francisco and, that's 2 years later I met him and then we just, click and I like to eat and we like food. We like all kind of stuff. And I studied fashion which is different, but actually the same. If you actually think about it, the best fabrics, right? The best produce, the way that it looks, and
so you incorporate some of those very same disciplines, right?
Exactly.
Well, I mean, to me, you're a model of courage. I mean, I came from Pensacola to Atlanta. It was a big jump for me, and my uncle had a job waiting on me when I got here. That's very different. I mean, you went out there. That's incredible.
After being in the army,
nothing scares you anymore.
It was like, now I think like, what I was thinking, But yeah, it's pretty much the same principles and less is more, we say in fashion, and it's pretty much the same for food. And the colors, the taste is how you feel and all that. So it was very interesting, the transition about it. But yeah.
And then you two, you can't let good enough lie. I mean, you got this great thing going, and then you're just sitting on the deck, sipping a glass of wine. You say, you know what? Let's open another one. What is that about?
There's always an opportunity to give other people opportunities. We're only 1,200 square feet downtown. It's small. There's only so much you can do. When you have great employees that want to grow more and do more, you have to give them a chance to either go on their own, which a lot of people are afraid to do, or give them a chance to do more things. And we're lucky that we met the Carter development team when they were working on the Summerhill project with Georgia State, which is how we met them because we're right at Georgia State, as you mentioned. And they thought there'd be a great opportunity to provide a food service for this other giant property they have. The Met Atlanta is 1 million square feet, and has up until now had nobody doing any kind of food. It's fully occupied. It's not a new project. It's a 100-year-old property. But it's really cool that we're going to be able to expand what we do, but also expand the responsibilities for the people we work with in the store and also the people outside, the resources that we can start bringing in and give opportunity and exposure to.
So what that suggests to me, very much like what I feel like I picked up in the last segment, talking with Robin and Desiree, a great deal of your compensation is not monetary. You two get the juice from genuinely helping people. What drove you was creating opportunity for more people.
Right.
That's fantastic.
We're not getting rich doing this, but it's very easy to go to work every day. So,
man, you're 2 for 2, Grace. Should I hit the music and we get out of here?
Oh no, not yet. Not yet. We got our closing act next.
Oh man, I would not want to follow those 2 acts. You can bow out if you want.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Honestly, yeah.
All right, but let's make sure before we do wrap. I want to make sure everybody knows how to get to both of these places and have a pupusa and a stone bowl.
The stone bowl and the pupusas are available at Buenos Dias Cafe, which is on 30 Decatur Street in downtown Atlanta. BuenosDiasCafe.com. It's on all the social media that I do not know how to do. And then La Bodega at the Met is in the Met Atlanta complex, which is 680 Murphy Avenue. And I don't even know the social media for that. Is it the window?
We have the window at the window .atl, and that's a whole new segment that you probably going to have because it's a
well,
pop-up.
We'll have you back and we'll talk about that, right?
It's a pop-up, the opportunities that we were talking about given to chefs that they want to do their thing. And so they are going to have, it's going to be a small window is lab so they can actually do their thing and see if actually sells, so it's a live training for them and have the opportunity to talk to customers without actually having a lease or, buying all the equipment that they're supposed to need. So they're actually doing it in our restaurant and then popping up at the window.
I love it. So, all right, so where can we get to a pop-up? How does that work?
So that's
you have to be like on the in crowd and you
Right.
get like the secret text or something?
Follow the social media stuff, and she posts it. Yeah.
Grace, are you in the inner circle yet, or is that what the whole reason for this show is so you can get on the inner circle?
I'm just trying to get in the inner circle. That's right. I had to figure out a way. I'm sneaky.
Grace is hungry.
I am always hungry.
I think that's what Steve told us. Grace is
I'm a hungry person.
Yeah. All right, so you ready for our headliner?
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. And I'm excited because we got to talk about things that bring people together today. We talked about food. I am a hungry person, so that's why I knew about all these food organizations. But when I think of Atlanta, I also think of music. And our next guest is Micah Dalton. He's the artistic director and self-described community coach for artists advocacy nonprofit ATL Collective. Not only that, he's an artist himself. He may sound like an earthier, clever Ben Harper, but musically, Dalton suggests a mid-'80s Prince and the way he defiantly straddles so many styles, requiring an enormous musical arsenal to get his point across. That's a direct quote from Paste magazine. So we're here in front of kind of a big deal, Mr. Micah Dalton. So Micah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what ATL Collective does?
Yeah. Am I close enough?
You're doing a great job, but
it's like you've been in front of a mic before.
I'm sorry you had to say that many words.
So, but before you do that, I want you to introduce me next time we do
Next
this.
time.
You are like the best introducer. I want to take you on the road with me when I do talks. Isn't she great?
Yes,
to get people up?
absolutely.
Okay, take it away, Micah.
So ATL Collective has been around since around 2009. We've been an ongoing kind of year-long music festival or concert series. We're a small business. For up until about last year, we decided to pivot to nonprofit because we realized our team and sort of the people we were serving would benefit more from that type of structure. So we create, our vision is to create a welcoming, distinct and collaborative music community here in Atlanta, and doing that through creating exposure opportunities, professional development, and financial opportunities for artists. And music makers, so producers in it.
Do you focus on local underground acts, or do you work with some bigger names that people might know as well, or
both? And that's kind of part of where we have seen some value for the artists professionally, is where we've had like Booker T from Booker T and the MGs come play with local acts, so artists get exposure to essentially bigger businesses. Then we've had bands like the Shadow Boxers who supported Justin Timberlake on his last tour, and so we really try to drive value towards developing acts, because that's a service within the music industry that isn't really there as much. Normally it's easy. Huge acts get all the attention. Smaller acts are going maybe to a bunch of panels and playing weddings and things like that, and trying to figure out what that bridge is. So our hope is to do more of that.
So you're kind of rooting for the underdogs, not to say they're underdogs, but you want to give the little guys a moment to shine as well. Yeah. And, they're big in their own right as well. So where can we find some concerts? Are they just in the Atlanta area? Do you go out to the suburbs, or? They
are in the Atlanta area for the most part. We just did a show at the Atlanta History Center a couple weeks ago. We've got on average probably 1 or 2 shows per month. We also have an education series called Hump Day Hangs on Wednesdays. It's a panel, but it's more about getting giving artists a chance to get one-on-one time with professionals in the industry. So we have one of those coming up this coming Wednesday. So all of that's on our social. There's so many dates that we actually have that I would recommend people go to social or the website to find all that.
So those one-on-one sessions with professionals, what do they talk about? Does it?
Yeah. Well, we have we kind of structure it where we have a panel and then leave some time for questions from the people that are there, and then try to not swamp the panelists, but give an opportunity for artists to connect with them. We've done everything from how to start your own record label to how to navigate the TV, film, and sync space.
Don't like that.
You want to start your own label?
I do.
Okay, let's get after it after this.
Stone label and the stone bowl. You're
stone label and the stone bowl.
Yeah. Dude.
Yeah, this is going to be a very catalytic conversation.
The album cover will be a bowl. And
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, we should start a band. That's cool. Yeah, I'm feeling. So that's been everything. Starting your own label, how to navigate and get your songs into TV and film. We've had one just about, hey, you're playing gigs every week. That's probably not sustainable all the time. How do you pivot to being a producer, creating IP? All those things to try to figure out how to equip, because they're all musicians and music makers. They're essentially all these small businesses, and oftentimes their businesses are structured in ways that they're doing a lot of heavy work, working a lot. So how do you work smart and not hard to the degree that you can? Other industry heavy towns like New York, LA, Nashville kind of have that infrastructure in place, and we're not just trying to create any infrastructure. We're trying to contribute to development for those artists that really want to grow.
And it's got to be challenging. I mean, the music industry has changed a lot. The way we listen to music has changed a lot. So what are some things that you see successful artists doing that you try to coach people on to make money? Yeah.
Well, I think the news is generally like revenue has grown in the industry. Streaming is kind of catching up. More people are signing up for Spotify. There's different opinions on that spectrum, but the good news is the revenue's there. I think what we think about is really trying to figure out how to get artists to engage with their fans more through social media platforms, to figure out how to just connect with people and be relationally driven, and that they're just not artists aren't just a set of songs, that they're a story. There's stories beneath those songs, and that our concert series is a way of generally helping people connect to one another that didn't know one another. And because for me, I'm an artist, and when we founded it in 2009, we literally started it just so I could figure out how to connect and get information on how to grow as an artist. I mean, that's how it started. And so to answer your question, generally we're trying to get people to tell their story, rather than just releasing their music and hoping people find it on Spotify, and just using the resources that they have to connect with their existing communities to start to kind of place themselves more of an artist than just a set of songs.
And you can be a lot more connected in today's world because of social media.
Right.
So,
yeah.
To your point, you can't drive the car looking in the rear view mirror.
That's right.
You've got to be looking forward. So what do you guys have going on in 2020?
Yeah, we're going to continue with our Hump Day education series. Our main program, we know how to do live music, so we're going to continue to do that. We hope to, there's a couple of things that we're working on this fall, programmatically. We hope to do something around mentorship. We hope to do something around songwriting camps. Really, there's an opportunity, we think, just to continue to connect a lot of dots. Wherever we see, it's almost like Atlanta's so geographically siphoned off that that's kind of like a good model for how it feels musically. Just ways to connect people around songwriting in particular, because I think there's a lot of IP publishing opportunities for a lot of artists that are just playing music, playing gigs, but I think there's publishing opportunities. So we want to pursue that. And we also want to be relationally driven. There's a lot of artist advocacy groups that have panels or have information they're throwing at artists, but really that's because of the way I think most artists, probably us here, are geared. That stuff is really massaged in and really effective long-term relationally. So giving people, we're trying to think through mentorship opportunities that are sustainable and kind of form-fitted.
It seems like you have so many plates spinning. I don't know how you stay on top of all of it.
I do not. That's why we have an executive director. That's why I'm the artistic director.
But it seems like the work that you're doing would go a long way toward getting young people fired up about what's possible in your arena.
Right.
Whereas maybe in the past, without some of the things that you're doing, it would never even surface for them. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. So that's a goal and a value for us, is to figure out how to have this cradle to grave programming to where kids are seeing adults, making a living in music. Now, admittedly, we're a new nonprofit. We know how to do live music, and that's probably how most people know of us. So, but that is something that's a value for us. There's a lot of great programming around that with like Atlanta Music Project and some other, I think educationally driven music programs that we're trying to get in the room with, meet with them and say, hey, how can we showcase what you're doing along with what we're doing? How can we create some opportunities to connect? relationally. We had a show at Buckhead Theater this past summer where we had, like 7 tweens singing Queen. And, they're being mentored and coached by one of our music directors. So a lot of this is happening informally. We're just trying to be like, oh yeah, we're doing that. We need to figure out how to more fully, bring that to the forefront.
And is this accessible not just to the youths, but maybe some adults want to go and try out some songwriting skills or their producing skills like Stone?
Yeah. Stone, we have something for you, my man. For us, the Hump Day Hangs, which happen every other month, are a great way to come get to know our community. Coming to our shows really is a way to get to the community because we try to make our staff tries to be available there to figure out. We're just trying to get a real read on the needs of the community. So Hump Day Hangs are probably the best way for if someone was like, I want to get into songwriting or I want to understand how to register my songs with a PRO, or I want to do an album, or wherever you are on the spectrum, we hope to be able to either refer or to fulfill some of those needs.
And I think we got a really special community here myself, but what's your favorite part of having this nonprofit in Atlanta, of all places?
I think Atlanta is kind of culturally the most interesting place in the world. So to be able to try to serve that voice musically, it'd be a part of the multiple people that are serving that voice musically is really gratifying. Because there's just so many, it's such an odd, zany, fun, cool place. So, I mean, we're run every month, or oftentimes 2 times a month. We're not just trying to, we reimagine classic records that are 20 years old with our live music program. So, 20 years, I would say it needs to be 20 years or old is kind of our metric. But, and what we do with that, we relive it. So we have an MC, we have these immersive elements, that kind of bring people back to the place in which it was recorded and that type of thing. So that model within itself is very fun because you're taking all these it's like camp every single time. There's all these different random people that don't know one another. You have to corral them and get them to work towards one thing. So ego's not in the room. So the model itself is very fun to work within. I think it's fun for our music direction team. And also being in Atlanta is just I feel humbled to do that. It's a cool place.
All right. So how do we get plugged into this? Let's just get coordinates one more time for any of this to get tied in.
ATL-collective.org is our website, and that's kind of the hub for everything. Instagram, I would say if you follow us if you get hip in both of those places, you should do that. And I think my email's on there. We're a new nonprofit, so just reach out to me too if you have any questions.
Fantastic.
I'm not going to give you my cell phone number, but I think that's a good place.
Only the insurance sales guys do that when they come in.
Yeah.
They give you the cell. Or the
I always thought that was crazy.
people.
Like I would be so freaked out by that. Yeah.
All right, so Grace, you and we're going to put on a music festival.
We are.
Catered by Buenos Dias, La Bodega, and fueled by
Global Growers Produce. That's right.
Right.
That's right.
What an inspiring opportunity. This is so much fun.
I'm loving it.
Well, thank you for putting this together.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting us.
And
helping make it happen.
All right. Until next time, this is Stone Payton for Grace Hayden, our guest today, and everyone here at the Business Radio X family saying we'll see you next time on Atlanta Cares Radio.